right, joint actions and positions. If you're really struggling with some of these, go back and review the lecture that Sarah has in the week 1 assignment. That will give you a little bit more in-depth understanding, but if you need a quick 60-second review, here it is. So flexion and extension, we should hopefully know these. Flexion, the action of flexion is decreasing the angle from a joint. So like when you're flexing your elbow joint right here is when you're like making a muscle, and then extending it, bringing it back straight. Remember, we have a single point of extension. So this is the straighten part right here, and infinite points of flexion. So anything other than this single point of extension, anything other than this position of extension is a position of flexion. But we can have actions of flexion or extension going either way. Hyperextension is possible primarily at the knee joints and at the elbow joints, depending on your ligament and bony structure. Remember flexion also, flexion of the hip. Flexion of the hip is this joint on this angle at the front of the hip. So bringing the knee up toward the chest is an action of hip flexion. We have a single point of hip extension when the hip is straight, and an infinite number of positions of flexion. Adduction is the movement of adding something back to the body. Abduction is like it's being abducted by aliens, so it's moving away from the body. Inward and outward rotation can be found in the ball and socket joints, so the hip joint and the elbow joint. I think we kind of know what these are intuitively, but inward rotation is going to be rotating toward the middle. Outward rotation, we all know outward rotation at the hip joint pretty well from dance, probably.